What is going on, guys? We are back with another live. I got Evan from my team here, the other Evan. Evan, it's Natroy, right? That's how I say it. You're muted, I think.
That's right. Yep. Evan Neverroy.
Dude,
Yes, sir.
I love it. If you're ever considering working with us, you're probably going to be talking with Evan. So, Evan, dude, it's awesome to have you. Today, we're going to be doing some questions around how to scale your creative business, some limiting mindsets, just different things that keep people stuck. And I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments. So, if you have questions, concerns, things you're battling with, that's what we're here for on this call. We're live on Instagram over here on the left. And then I got YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn over here to the right. So if you have questions, drop them down below. We would love to answer them. And for the first couple minutes of this, we'll just kind of start riffing on some stuff, start talking about some stuff that we see. And then we are happy to see some questions from you guys. But Evan, anything that you see, because I think you've talked to hundreds of video business owners, videographers up to this point. Like, what are some like common mindsets that keep people stuck that you've seen so far?
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of things, right? I mean, probably thousands at this point. I probably speak to hundreds a day.
You
There's a
do.
lot of things.
Yeah.
Just limiting mindsets, beliefs that they can charge, well more than they know they deserve.
Yeah.
Probably the biggest thing I see, charging day rates, understanding that, in efforts to put yourself in a position to charge and command the rates that you know that you can deliver upon, it's
Yep.
really about how you're getting in front of the client, right? So that's one of the biggest things that I see, just limiting beliefs, beyond like just pricing. I'd say like
Yeah.
down.
Why do you think people price themselves so low? Like, and if you're here watching this, drop some comments down below. Let us know like why do you guys price yourself the way you currently are? And I guess why not price higher? But Evan, I guess like why do you think people price themselves so low in your
I think
opinion?
it has a lot to do with the initial touch point of how you're getting in front of the client. So a lot of the time it's like, generally word of mouth, referrals, and that stuff's beautiful, right? Cultivating relationships,
Yeah.
utilizing your network, but at the same time, it kind of holds people back a lot of the time. So
Yeah.
I would say that that initial touch point of how you're actually engaging in that conversation is
They
probably.
think so it's almost like they feel like they need to bend to the whim of the client because they don't have a lot of opportunities coming in the first place. Is sounds
Exactly.
like what you're saying. Yeah.
Precisely. Yep, absolutely. Like not a lot of incoming opportunities, relying on the same connections and not really expanding beyond their existing network, which
Yeah.
is fine, but it's going to be very difficult to scale to the likes of, 10, 20, 30 grand a month within your business with that, method, if you will.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's also the mindset of like referrals and like word of mouth they're kind of laydowns most of the time, so they're really easy to close. And so like you're used to that, but you're not used to actually having to like market yourself or sell yourself or like help and we can talk about the sales process a little bit because obviously you're an expert there, but it's like we need to make sure that we are properly building a gap of where that client is to where they want to be and helping them understand the difference in that gap. So then we can then fill our product or service that's going to help them fill that gap. Right. But I think a lot of times people are used to the laydowns, the referrals, the ones that are super easy to close, and they're not necessarily, focused on how do I get better at my sales process? How do I overcome objections? Right? How do I follow some sort of process that's going to help me actually close this client and turn them into a long-term retainer, right, for my business? So I think that's a key thing there as well. But I guess like within the pricing stuff, what do you see? Why do you think most people are charging day rates, and what are some of the hesitations people have from going from like day rates to retainers from what you've seen?
Yeah, just really setting the expectation from the forefront of the conversation, right? Like without a proven, repeatable, predictable sales process, for
Yeah.
me, setting that expectation from the forefront at the inception of the initial touch point.
Yeah.
That's right. So like really understanding, like rather than, I talk to a lot of people. It's like, yeah, I've never even, hopped on a sales call or like hopped on any
They're
sort of
sending proposals. Yeah. Yep.
like full Zoom meeting. And with that strategy, like it's going to be very difficult to get in front of the clients that can actually pay and have the budgets and see that value proposition effectively.
Yeah.
Right. So that's another big thing as well within just
Yeah.
having the sales process ironed out.
And so within the sales process, like let's say that you have people who say, maybe now's not the right time. Like, and maybe you have a client who comes to you and they have a lot of clients who are coming to them saying, hey, not the right time. I want to wait till XYZ. Like, how do you typically handle that if a client comes to you and you get to the end of the sales meeting and they're saying like, hey, it's not the right time?
Sure. I mean, yeah, simply just really, approach it with a level head, stay calm, cool, and collected.
Yeah.
Really understand, like, hey, like, how do you mean by that exactly? Like, help me understand what your timeline looks like as to actually solving the problem that you came here for to
Right.
effectively solve. Because what it comes down to ultimately at the end of the day is, it's not time is usually quite literally always not a real objection. It's like a priority problem. People
Mhm.
value the things that, they'll make time for the things that they value. So it's
Right.
really a priority problem. So it's not necessarily like, oh, I don't have the time. It's like it's not a priority for them to actually solve
Right.
them. So yeah.
Right. That makes sense. So then if you have video clients coming to you saying, "Hey, I don't have the time to do this project. I don't have the time to create these branding assets. I don't have the time for X, Y, and Z." You'd want to conquer and figure out like what happened within the process that made them feel like this is not a priority for them right now, right?
Right.
And so you want to figure out what that is, because if you don't, no one has time for things that are useless for their business, right? But if you really believe that something's going to help you in your business, then you make the time for it, like you said, right? Which is super, super true. I'm just looking over at Instagram. If you guys are just now joining us, drop any comments, questions down below, and we will get those answered. I know we have some people popping in here on YouTube. Ethan, what's up, dude?
How we doing, guys?
Hop off the sales coaching call.
Yes, sir.
What are some things you guys went over in that call?
Oh man, what do we go over today? Some pricing objections. People kind of laying out. Hey, I've got $1,000 budget, but
Yep.
packages might be 4, 5, 6 grand a month, and kind of working backwards, and not showing your cards all at once, and not saying, well, hey, we can do a monthly payment plan with you, and I got X, Y, and Z
Please give me this
payment plans that we
project.
can do.
I'll price it at whatever you say you want. It's like, no.
Exactly, and kind of letting
Yeah.
them show their cards and saying, hey, well, what could you get started with towards, 15,000, and we can, work backwards on a, on a
And see if we can
plan
make
with you.
something work. But first, figuring out that tie down and saying, well, first, before we even talk about that, how do you feel about the process specifically? Do you feel like this is something that's actually going to help your business get to XYZ goal that you told me you wanted to get to, right? Because if we don't do that, then nothing else matters at the end of the day. Jesse says,
they don't
silence, guys. Yeah, absolutely.
If they don't believe in it. Oh yeah, saying if they don't believe in it, then we don't even need to address the price right now. It's more so about because it could just be a lack of information about the process or the strategy.
Yep. Lack of clarification, lack of like understanding, hey, I don't have the full budget, but I have something that I can put down towards this, right? Evan, since you talk to so many people every day, what are some other kind of limiting beliefs that people have around either growing their video business or just things that you've seen? And if you don't have anything right now, I can circle back to you, but like, is there anything else that you've seen that really kind of keeps people stuck and in that like tiny mindset instead of expanding into a bigger mindset?
Yeah, like you kind of touched upon it, right? A lot of it is mindset, just like, really understanding how to make those strategic moves and being uncomfortable and being comfortable with being uncomfortable. Because,
Mm.
If there's one thing that's for certain, it's like it's very easy to remain the same and keep doing the same things, even if it's not necessarily yielding you the exact results or progress that you're, seeking. But I would say really a mindset thing at the end of the day. Really,
It's easier to stay where you're at and like say, hey, I don't really want all that other stuff. It's easier for me to be like, hey, I'm just not going to have the things I want, because it's easier for me to be in this place that I'm already at, because there's no fear of failure there because I'm already there, right? But if I go and try something new and then for some reason I fall back down to where I was before, then I feel like a failure, or people feel like a failure, when that's not the case. Like, in order to get out of the situation you're currently in, you have to change something about what you're doing right now. And for a lot of people, I think they're just scared of doing that, I think. And they're just worried about taking a leap or taking a step to do something different than what they've already done. So they're scared of that. So then because of that, they just stay the same, right? And until the pain of being in the same spot is just so great, people are not going to make a change. Like, unless you're 400 pounds overweight and you can't walk your daughter down the aisle at her wedding, like, you're not going to make the change to get in shape. And it's the same thing for a lot of people. They're okay with being like, hey, I don't want to make more money, when that's just BS in my opinion. Like, I just don't think that that's true. Like, everyone wants to make more money. It's just people give that up because they would rather not try and then mess up and look like a failure to other people, or think that they look like a failure. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I just really think that people, like, that is a limiting mindset I had to go through. And I think a lot of people go through, where they're like, they don't project their goals. They don't say they want something bigger because they're just scared of like saying that and then not hitting it. You know what I mean?
right. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Jesse says, what is your philosophy on implementation? Let's say that the sales call goes great. The client verbally agrees that you can solve their problem, but getting them to take basic actions is like pulling teeth. Jesse, we don't know anything about that, man. Evan, you want to talk about that a little bit? So let's say someone says verbally, hey, man, I want to do this. I want to do this. I want to move forward on this project. But then you can't get them to like make a move. Like, you've been with us for 2 years. You've had a lot of this, right? But what do you do in that situation?
Yeah, I mean, there you just really want to call out the elephant in the room, have an open and honest conversation. Because if you're kind of like tiptoeing around some things, it's going to come up inevitably, whether or not they're going to move forward or not. So just kind of pull back the price or the investment, whatever you're talking about, and be like, hey, like understand number one, get a tie down, get multiple tie downs, identify that what you've actually presented them, they actually believe in, like Ethan had mentioned, and that this actually can help them. So number one, if that's not in place, don't proceed to trying to help
Don't
them move
pass go,
forward.
don't collect $200, stay where you're at. Yeah.
So yeah, get that first and foremost, and then if they're unwilling to move forward, take action, it's pulling teeth. Really, just have an open conversation and understand what's really coming up for them. That's ultimately leading them to not want to take any sort of action to move forward. But
Yeah.
I'd just really just talk about it, have a real conversation, be authentic, call it out.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people, like what you said, they don't want to say the reason that they don't want to move forward because they're embarrassed of it. And so your job on that sales meeting is to create a safe space to where they feel like they can tell you those things and they feel like they can share those things with you so then you can overcome it. Because if you never let them share those things with you, it's almost impossible for them to, or for you to overcome that because you don't know what's actually going on at the end of the day. And so, like Evan said, it's like having an open, honest, clear conversation around where they are, where they want to go, if this is the right fit. And if for some reason something comes up, you can address that. But a lot of times deals just die because people are too embarrassed. The prospect is too embarrassed to share with you the reason why they're not moving forward. And so you just need to be able to, sniff that out, provide a safe space for them to tell you that, and then you can then move forward. And then eventually, if they keep playing these games with you, Evan, I don't know what your take is on this, or Ethan, but I would just be like, I would lean out. I'd be like, hey, maybe it's not the right fit anymore. Like if I have to fight you to do basic things on this project, you say you want to do it, but you're not doing it, then maybe something's not right here, and maybe it's not the right fit. I lean out, and then if they take that, if they lean back in, great. If they take the lean out and they go with it, they were never going to buy from you anyways, and they're probably just going to waste your time.
Well, I think the biggest tell is asking for a form of commitment, whether it's monetary or
deposit, sign an agreement. Yeah, no. And if they're not willing to do that, then they say one thing, but their actions are speaking louder than those words. And you just don't want to mess around with that because a lot of times people will just like waste your time forever and you need to protect that time, So hopefully that makes sense, Jesse. And then on that same note, I think I had a client I was talking to yesterday about like charging higher prices and how he was just worried about raising his prices. And one of his biggest concerns, Ethan, was like, I'm going to lose clients. And what I told him is I said, that's the point. Like, you need to lose clients. Like, not every single person is going to keep working with you when you raise your prices. But the goal is to keep the really good clients and then cut the bad ones. Because if there's anything we've kind of noticed doing millions of dollars in sales for ourselves is like the higher you price something, the better clients you typically get. They follow your directions better. And a lot of times like that price ceiling that you have yourself at is just a limiting belief. Like you think you can't charge more, but the minute that you try to charge more, you end up charging more and people pay it. Are less people going to pay it? Yes, but that's the point. Well,
that's how you're going to scale it too. Is you're going to have less clients, more cash, more time to bring on other clients too. And then you just stair step up.
And you really shouldn't be closing more than 40% on your calls. Like if you're closing above 40%, you're priced way too low. Like if you're closing 50, 60, 70%, you are priced way too low. And you probably could be charging more with less operational drag or operational issues. Because the more you price, the more margin you have, the less people you have to hire, and the easier it is to scale from there.
Yep.
Yeah. If you guys are just joining us, drop some comments down below. Any questions you have, let us know where you're listening from, first off. So like, where are you calling in from, or where are you listening in from? And then any questions you have around your video business, like pricing, sales, how to get more leads, how to get more clients, how to manage those clients effectively. After almost 500 clients served individually, we probably have some sort of answer for you. So we're happy to help, and drop those questions down below. Let's see. Jesse has another question. He said, knowing what to do, knowing how to do it, and having the right mindset is still not what it takes to take action. How do you solve for this? That's a good one. How do you solve for knowing what to do, knowing how to do it, but maybe not having the right mindset is what I think I'm getting from that. Because like you could know everything to do. Like I could give you all the tools in the toolbox, but if you don't know how to use them and you don't have the right mindset around them, it's going to be really difficult to get any sort of outcome from that. And like Evan, you've talked to a lot of people too. Ethan, you've talked to a lot of clients, but it's like, we could give you the best system in the world. We could teach you how to use it. But if you still think you're not worthy of getting higher ticket clients, or you think people won't pay that much, it's going to be difficult for you to then close those deals, you know? And so I think most of the battle is your belief system and the mindset you have around being successful. And it sounds super woo-woo, and I know that. I'm not a woo-woo guy, but like it does come down to understanding, you know, hey, this is what you do, but also I am deserving of this and people will pay. And I think sometimes people just get in that loop, you know?
Yep.
Yeah,
You
100%.
just got to jump in the deep end sometimes.
Yeah, you sometimes just have to make a jump. I mean, Evan, you don't have to go into specifics, but I know that like you've invested in yourself, right? And you've taken leaps. We all have, but it's like, you know, you've taken leaps to invest in yourself and get better. Like what are some of the thoughts that went through your head prior to doing that?
Yeah, plenty. Absolutely.
Yeah, a lot of them.
Yeah, absolutely. It never gets
Yeah.
easier. You know, you guys could say that just as well as I can. Never gets easier. But again, the cliche simply is, hey, like the more uncomfortable you are, the more opportunity you have to grow. And the more opportunity you have to grow, the more opportunity you have to get better and perform at a higher level.
Yep.
So, like we had, preface prior, it's like, hey, if you want to stay the same, stay the same. But, just know that you're going to run to the barriers and the roadblocks that are keeping you with those same internal thoughts. So it's kind of like, at some point, you have to be the one to look yourself in the mirror and make that uncomfortable call. So.
Yeah.
But I forget the exact saying, but it's, something to the effect of, nothing great happens when you're comfortable.
Right. Yeah, it's true, man. I mean, Ethan and I have joined plenty of programs. I mean, it's funny. Ethan and I have been doing this for a long time. Like we've joined a lot of programs, we've hired a lot of coaches, a lot of mentors. And it's funny because like we always make a joke, like every single time we join one of these programs, we always make 10 to 20x whatever we put in. Like it's so funny. But then we look at some other people who might have been in that program who are still complaining. They're still struggling. They're complaining about stupid shit. Excuse my language half the time. Like they're caught up in like the will this work for me versus how can I make this work for me mindset. And like the reason that Ethan and I have always been successful in all the programs we've been in, whether the program was good or not, like it's because we said, how can I make this work for me? And we freaking did it. Like we just made it work. Like even if it was more work, we made it work for us as opposed to like us trying to find will it work? Like at the end of the day, everything works, right? And so like it just comes down to like how can you make it work for you? And I think a lot of people kind of get stuck in that loop of like, I don't know. I think it's just like I think it's a poor mindset issue where it's like, will this work for me? I need the magic pill. Like, will this work? It's like, dude, nothing's a magic pill. You just have to make it work for you. And having that mindset going into programs, like it doesn't get easier, but that has helped me make it easier because I have confidence in myself and my team, knowing that whatever we do or decide to make decisions on, we're going to make it happen no matter what. And it's just, we're going to make it work. And then like that puts the responsibility on you.
There's even been like little tiny things, not like getting a brand new sales process or, like I still remember back to when we learned the do you need a payment plan question? Huge light bulb moment.
From that first coach we hired, he was like, when someone asks you about one thing or asks you about payment plans, just say, do you need a payment plan? And then people are like, half the time they're like, no, I was just curious. We literally did like 30K in a day from just doing that one tiny little tweak. Like it's the little hinges that swing the big doors oftentimes, And I think like people are looking for this big revelation sometimes, and sometimes it's just a couple of shifts. Like we had one client, Roman, who closed that 124K video deal. And most of the reason he closed that was because he says we told him not to send a proposal, but go through it on a call. He's like, that one tiny shift literally made me $124,000.
Yep.
So it's like, oftentimes a lot of clients we work with, they come in, we overhaul a couple tiny things, ROI them off those tiny things. And then once they get in, then, then we start working on the bigger things. But there's a lot of little things that can happen within your business that make a huge difference in the amount of money that you make. You know what I mean?
Yep. Yeah. Just fine tuning things really makes a big difference.
It does. It does, man. Absolutely. Let's look at some questions here. I'm having some success with the video retainer packages, but my clients want proof that they work. It's forced me to learn metrics, and now I feel further from my craft than ever. That is a good point, David. Ethan, you want to maybe take this and I can piggyback off of your initial thoughts?
Yeah, no, I'd say biggest thing, with like the proof is, I think we talked about this, what was it, Thursday? It was maybe last Tuesday, of getting case studies with your clients and, going back and, just sitting down and interviewing, hey, what kind of results did you get? Because a lot of people don't go back and ask. They deliver the work and, sometimes you don't talk to your clients or, to those clients again and never really figure out unless they come out and tell you what the results were. A lot of people don't don't really know what the impact was on the content. So that's one big thing, is just going back and getting testimonials, even if it's just a written review on your, your Google business page, just having some sort of proof. But,
well, at the end of the day, you need proof that you are who you say you are. And if you don't have that proof, you need to get that proof. And it's not fun all the time. But the other thing I would say, David, is like, we're on two different sides of the spectrum here. Like, you can be, I think you have to make a decision. Like, do you want to be the best DP, videographer, or video editor in the world and go work for another company? Or do you want to be the business owner who has time freedom, can hire people under them, and runs an actual business? And businesses have offers, and offers need proof that the offers work. And so, like, I'm never going to sugarcoat it for you guys. I'm always going to be straight up. Like, if you feel further from your craft, like, if all you care about is the craft, there is nothing wrong with that, but you should probably go work for someone else being a video business or a videographer or video editor. And there's nothing wrong with that. But if you want to run a business and you want to sell packages and sell retainers and hire a team and buy your time back, right? Then you need to be a business owner. You have to learn the three different parts of any sort of business, which is marketing, sales, fulfillment. Those are the three things. That's the only three things: marketing, sales, fulfillment. You have to learn how to get attention. You have to learn how to convert that attention into money. And then you have to learn how to fulfill on the packages that you sold. And so there is nothing wrong with being in love with the craft. We are not, the caveat to that though, is we are not here to help people get better at the craft. We're here to help you build businesses that provide for you and your family and make you money independent of your time. But if you want to be someone who trades 24 hours for a paycheck, there's literally nothing wrong with that. We need tons of people like that. Like, that's more of an employee mindset or freelancer mindset. And again, there's nothing wrong with it, but like, that is like, you're not going to get rich that way, like trading your time for money. You have to build an asset. You have to build systems. You have to build people under you. You have to build people to help you with those things. So hopefully that makes sense. I don't mean to be too blunt, but I just like to be honest about things. And I think you have to make that decision of like, do you want to be a business owner, or do you just want to be someone who's a craftsman who does the work? And we need both people. So like, there's no right or wrong answer there. Yeah. Let's see. Tyler, I'm in the real estate niche and looking to be more creative and want to work with service-based businesses. I have multiple video production companies that do videos for $500. How do you compete? Number one, why do you have multiple video production companies if all you're charging is $500? You should have one video production company, one business, because one business is enough to make millions and millions of dollars. So you probably don't need. Go ahead, Ethan.
I think it might be competitors.
I have multiple video that do videos. Okay, I see what you're saying. So video production companies that do videos for $500, how do you compete? So it just depends. Within the real estate niche, if you are, I see in my area, there are multiple. I gotcha. So in the real estate niche, if you're just doing home tours, you're going to be under $800 to $1,000 each home tour. But what you want to be shooting for, I'm going to move this so it doesn't keep blocking you the entire time. If you want to be doing more high ticket retainers, you'd want to do real estate branding packages. So like, you'd want to, for those, you can charge anywhere between like $2,000 to $7,000 to $8,000 a month. We have multiple clients at all of those price ranges, but $2,000 to $7,000 a month doing the branding content for the agent, social content for the agent, not just the home tours. And so what you do is you solve a bigger problem outside of just the listing videos and listing photos. You do the branding packages for the actual agent. You do monthly content for them. You do a brand video for them. You do testimonial videos for them. And that's how you get more of a recurring there, as opposed to just doing the home tours, if that makes sense.
Yep. You can still bake that stuff into the branding package retainers.
Yeah, you can do a branding package with like social content, brand film, testimonial content, and then some listing tours as well. But you want to bake all that in together. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to compete, because the real estate photography niche is definitely more of a commodity based market where they just need photos, and as long as you're good enough, you're good. So that's the idea there. Let's see. I'm charging $600 to $1,800 for mostly lifestyle home tours. The service-based businesses want cheaper videos. So that comes down to proper pricing. So if you haven't gotten our 27 video retainers, there should be a link below this on YouTube. You can check that out. But charging more comes down to building a gap. And maybe, Evan, you talk about this too. But like, if the problem that I'm solving for is not very big and I don't really care about it, I'm not going to have a high budget for that project, right? I'm not going to be willing to pay a decent amount of money for that. But if you can expand the gap and expand the problem and solve a bigger problem, then you can make more money because you're solving a bigger problem. Like, I steal this from one of my mentors, but it's like, if you have a headache your budget for a headache might be some Advil and going to CVS. That's like 20 bucks. But if you find out that headache is a brain tumor, then that brain tumor, the budget for that is a lot bigger because the problem's a lot bigger. And so in your sales calls, you want to uncover more of like, what's going on? What's the problem? How long has that been going on? And expand that, make it very painful, make it very big. And then that can then turn into a bigger problem that you solve for a larger price point, right? So, but Evan, what are some things that you do to kind of expand the gap? Like, let's say someone doesn't really want to talk about their problems on a call. Like, is there anything that you do within that to kind of get them to open up a bit more on the call?
Yeah, like kind of like we touched upon before, like your job as the business owner or someone who's, consulting to understand what's in front of you is to create a safe space. And simply how you do that is just have an authentic, conversation, open and
Mhm.
honest. So if someone's being a little bit, closed off, guards up, they're not really like, playing ball, if you will. Again, just call it out. Be like, hey, like, do you actually want to be here? Like, if not, it's not a problem at all, right?
Yep.
Like, we don't have to do this. So, if you find that's a problem you're consistently running into, I definitely just call it out and, just sit on the same side of the table as them because you're there to help and solve a problem at the end of the day. So,
Yep. Yeah, 100%. Tyler says, does your course go over expanding the gap? Yeah, so our main program, we go over an entire sales process. Ethan's one of our sales coaches. He drills with our clients every single day. And then we have multiple mock calls every single week within our community of clients that are working on those sales process. And that's how they close those multiple 5-figure, multiple 6-figure deals that you see in our case studies page, which if you want to check that out, it's masterfilmmaker.com/case studies. Little plug there. But that's how our clients are closing those bigger deals, is by building a bigger gap. So if you want to make more money, you build a bigger gap, you expand the problem on that call, you get really good at that, and then you get rewarded by people paying you more money. Because like the marketplace is paying people for the amount of problems that they solve and how big those problems are. And so if you're not solving a big problem, people are not going to pay you a lot of money, no matter how much you say like, I deserve it, or I'm worth more, or like I should be getting paid this. If you're physically not making the money that you want to make, it's because you're not providing as much value as you should be. And so if you're not making $1 million a year, it's because you're not providing $1 million a year worth of value to the marketplace,
Yep. Well, in addition to expanding the gap, you also have to sell an outcome, not just a product, right? You can't just sell a video or 5 Instagram reels. What is that video going to do
for them? Let's talk about that. Yeah, that's huge. I mean, Evan, what do you see as far as like, because people will sell outcomes and then they'll sell deliverables. Like, how do you go about selling the outcome on the call?
Yeah, this has been huge lately, and I've had a lot of great conversations with a lot of smart business owners. Like I was talking to like a few, I forget when it was specifically, but it's like, hey, like we know we do the most excellent work, in the area. We've been veterans, well over a decade and a half, and it's like I can't, bring my mindset to that of like wanting to charge like 20 or 30K a month. And I would ask them like, hey, why do you think that is? If like you see other people making far more, income, closing way more deals within the video space, but they don't do nearly as good work as you do. And they say, hey, like it simply just has to come down to like we just don't have the marketing in place. And like we're not communicating that value proposition effectively. We're not selling an outcome. We're not selling a result. We're just selling the aesthetically pleasing, side of the creative work. And that's where you get yourself in trouble. And that's where you get to run into a wall, unfortunately. Yeah. So
dude, that's so huge. I want to talk about that for a second because I really like it's. I used to have that mindset too. I was like, dude, if I just make better work, if I just invest in better gear, if I just make a better product, then I'm going to make more money. Like, remember, product is one piece of the equation. Like, product is one small piece of the equation. It is not the entire equation. And so, like, you could have a really amazing product. You could have a really high quality video. You could have a really great like cinematic sequence, within your actual projects. But the problem is if it doesn't actually make the client more money or solve a real problem for them, they will not pay for it. And I've seen really shitty videos that aren't very good, like be sold for lots and lots of money to clients because they actually get them results and get them leads and clients and calls and whatever it may be. Like, I hate to say it, but sometimes iPhone content will get people better results than the most cinematic piece in the world. So you have to find a way to combine both of those within your packages in a way where you're going to get your clients results and you can charge more money. Because like if I could say, hey, I helped this, like we talk about it on almost every live, but it's like that chiropractor, one of our clients worked with that chiropractor. If I can help a chiropractor, he helped him make $1 million off of a video. If I can help that chiropractor make $1 million off of one video, right? I can charge $100,000 for that video because typically you can charge about 10% of whatever your result you're getting for that client. And so if I have a case study saying I help someone make $1 million with the video, then I'm going to be able to charge a lot more for that than someone who just says I make really nice videos, right? Because business owners at the end of the day are the ones who care about making more money, and business owners are they're the ones who have the money to actually pay you at the end of the day. So if you want to make more money, as much as you might feel like you are further from your craft, we're here to make money. We're here to help clients make money. Businesses are meant to make money. Like that's it. So like as much as people don't want to admit that, that's what we're here to do. Like that's what businesses are for, unless you're a nonprofit, which like I don't know about you, but I don't want to run a nonprofit. Like that's not my goal. David says to make more money, help other people make more money. Absolutely, dude. I mean, that's it. Like you get paid in proportion to the value you provide to the marketplace. And if you don't provide very much value, you don't make a lot of money. And like a lot of people have potential to provide more value, but if you are physically not making the money that you want to make, it's because you are not providing the value that you need to be providing. And you need to get help providing more value to your clients, which is one of the things we help our clients with, right? And whether you work with us or somebody else, it doesn't matter. Let's see. Instagram. That's how I feel right now. Everywhere vlogs. Absolutely. Hard truths. I know. It's not fun to see. Yeah. No, absolutely. Is it better to call? We'll get back to that question there, actually. Yep. No, 100%, guys. I mean, it does. It's just you have to learn how to make your clients more money and have proof that you are who you say you are and get those case studies like Ethan said. I want to kind of switch gears a little bit and we'll wrap up here in just a few minutes, but I want to switch gears into focus. And this is something that I think a lot of creatives struggle with, but it's people who are changing niches all the time. It's people who are changing strategies all the time. It's people who are changing everything about their business all the time. I heard this really good analogy that I really love. And it's like, if you were going to cut down a tree, right? And you have an axe and you're going to cut down a tree. Like if you hit that tree the first time, nothing probably will happen, right? But if I hit that tree a second time, maybe I'll see something happen. If I keep hitting that tree in the same spot every single time, over and over and over again, eventually that tree will fall. And that tree represents money and making more money in your business. So if you keep hitting the same spot, you keep getting better and better and doing the same thing over and over and over again, doing shit that's really boring, that tree will fall. But what most people do is they hack that tree up 30 feet up and down. Is that tree going to fall very fast if all you're doing, I'm hitting up here, I'm hitting down here, I'm hitting over here, I'm hitting, like, is that going to fall very fast if I do that? No, of course not. And so like that is what focus is in your business. And I think a lot of people, they don't want to, as creatives, we don't want to be constrained to one small thing, but that is the thing that's going to make you successful. So you almost have to be anti-creative, which sounds really bad, but you have to be like anti-creative in your business aspects to actually be successful in business, And Ethan, you probably see this all the time too. It's like people who are scattered. They're doing this, they're doing this, they're doing this, they're changing things.
The shiny object syndrome. It's like, oh, the new shiny thing.
Dude, the new DJI Ronin 4 is going to help me make more money, or the new, Canon camera, or the new Red camera, or this, that, and the other is going to help me make more money.
Your clients have no idea what any of it is.
Clients don't care about the gear that you shoot with. Period. They don't. Like as long as you don't show up with an iPhone, which would be kind of weird, right? I've seen some people do it. But as long as you don't show up with an iPhone on set, like you're usually fine,
Yep, 100%.
Any other limiting beliefs that you see, Evan, on your end?
I think we covered a strong basis of them. Mindset, doing things differently, not doing the same things over and over again, expecting a different result. That's huge as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think we covered a solid basis.
And to use the axe analogy on that, like you could be hitting the axe into the dirt underneath the tree. And you could be like, hey, I'm really trying. I'm really pushing. I'm working so hard, but you're not working on the right thing because you're hitting the dirt. You're not hitting the tree. So the tree's never going to fall. And I think that's a scary reality for a lot of people, is like, you don't know if you're doing the wrong thing until you can get an outside perspective looking in and saying, hey, you're not doing the right thing. You're not swinging the axe in the right place. You need to swing it over here. And that's the value of mentorship. That's why we hire people to help us. Like, that's why we help. I mean, I hire people who are way above me to help me get to where I want to be, because I don't know where I should be swinging the axe sometimes within my own business. And that's the value of having that. Right. And so like, that's, I think the other scary portion of it is like, you could be swinging the axe super hard, but you're not swinging in the right place, and you're not going to see the results. Even if you swung that axe for 20 years at the dirt, that tree's never going to fall, bro. Like, and that's a hard truth I think a lot of people need to hear. you know?
Yep. I think one thing too that's not necessarily like it's not a limiting belief, more of a mindset thing. Well, I guess they're kind of one of the same. Is being kind of an order taker versus a more of a consultant. And we talk. We have the the doctor analogies that we use all the time of being somebody who diagnoses issues versus just takes orders and lets the client self-diagnose.
Yeah. No, it's true. You have to be somebody who's solving a problem. It just comes back to solving problems. If you're an order taker, order takers don't get paid that much money. Consultants get paid a lot more money than waiters do, right? If you're a waiter at a restaurant, I can find anybody like you. Doesn't matter. And that sounds bad, but I can find anybody and plug them in. Like, to find someone who truly understands content and truly understands how content can help my business make more money, I'm going to pay that person a lot more money than somebody who just shows up with a camera and I have to tell them everything to do.
Yep.
Like, that's just the truth, right? That's a perfect way of putting it. I've been hacking my tree with a giant axe. I feel like it's soon going to fall and be my favorite. Absolutely. I love that. Do you have multiple courses available, or is it all in one course? We have a couple different. So if you go below this video on YouTube, there's our 27 video retainers, like mini course, which is like a tiny Costco sample pack of what we do. And then our main program is the one we've had 500 one-to-one clients in. And that's our higher end program where you'd be talking to someone like Evan, Danny, Hakeem, someone on our team to actually help you figure out if that's the right fit for you. So if you want to learn more about that, there's a schedule a demo call below. You can schedule a call. You might be talking to Evan or anybody else on our team. But then we have like little mini courses that give you like a tiny little nibble, but that's just a small piece of what we do overall. So hopefully that makes sense. Let's see if we have anything else. Otherwise, we'll wrap up, guys. I think this is a really good call. DJ Strategy says, "What's up, Evan? What's going on, DJ Strategy?"
So, my man, I think we may have spoke yesterday.
Oh, you spoke with him yesterday. Nice. Show up with a full iPhone, a full camera ring. Yeah, dude, I love. Yeah, I'm sure clients would love that. Let's see if I have anything else, guys. Last call for questions if you have anything. And then we do these every Tuesdays and Thursdays. So if you have questions, hop on. We're happy to talk through stuff. Sometimes we have Evan. Right now we're booked out today, so like everyone else is on calls right now. Evan was the only one who could sneak away, but we'll have other people on here as well from our team. Drone Capone. I like that name, dude. Is it better to visit a business in person or call them on the phone to get their business? So both of those are outbound. I don't think there's anything wrong with outbound, but as you start to scale, outbound is not the way to do it because there's no intent because you're reaching out to the business. And so when you're reaching out to the business, you are the one who needs something, which puts you in a lower authority frame than them. So when you're reaching out without any sort of intent on their end, like they didn't fill out a form on your website or click on an ad, you are lower intent and you look more needy. So what we do is we set up an inbound system. If you want to learn more about that, if you're on Instagram, you can go to the link in our bio. But we set up an inbound system so people come to you, book on your calendar, and then you can then have that higher intent with them. But either one, if you are doing outbound, I mean, visiting them in person is going to have a higher conversion rate because you're actually there in person. But as you scale, it's going to be really difficult to scale that because you can't go to 1 million businesses a day in person. You can call more of them than if you went to them in person. And then as you do more, eventually you won't be able to call as many, and you're going to need an inbound system where it filters the best leads, puts them on your calendar, and then you're able to only speak to the people who have the highest intent. Drone Capone, you got it. Thanks for answering. For sure. Awesome, guys. Well, we got to run. We are packed out the next couple of days. So if you wanted to snag a slot on our calendar, there is a link below. You can schedule a call with our team, and we'd be happy to speak with you. But boys, any other thoughts before we roll here?
No, that was a solid call.
Awesome, guys. Well, if you have anything else, let us know, guys. There's links below to a bunch of resources for you or resources on our YouTube channel. And we will talk to you guys in a bit.